The small barns are getting smaller because Megan has actually 6 horses for us right now. So the small barns are as follows and simple. Deb with Adrenaline Rush. She's done a great job with Adrenaline Rush. He continues to do good, and he does just good enough that people aren't claiming him. So he's actually doing great. I think that long layoff and the story that anybody that follows us knows the story that comes with Adrenaline Rush. If they're going to leave him alone, awesome. We're not going to move him. So they're going to have to do something, or they're just going to have to watch him win. Was it a bad kick game? Or they're just going to watch him do really, really well for the rest of the season. Massive Profit has been doing really terrible for a few starts now. That break last night was terrible. Made a break in the middle of the straightaway, knuckled over and made a break. I have no idea why. I have not talked to Ross about it yet, but I will. I'll reach out to Ross, say, what are we going to do here? We got to get a couple of good lines on this horse and move him. He's not going to be a keeper, but it's hard to move a horse racing terribly. So we'll see what we're going to do with Massive Profit moving forward. Per Lucky, just tough, just a crappy race for him last night. Middle half in like 59 on a 7/8 mile track with a sprint coming on the end of it. It's not his cup of tea. 27, 56, 125, 53-ish, 54. That is Per Lucky. Not what I saw last night. I know exactly what happened. His biggest problem is, are we going to be able to race him every week? If we can't, we're going to have to make a decision. Are we going to rest him for a few weeks? Maybe send him to Dover? That's a possibility. We're probably going to do some business with Jimmy again this winter time. To what extent? I don't know. We're going to see. 3 Point Blue Chip. Such a special horse and such an incredibly uplifting story. Here's a horse that was headed to the Hamiltonian from all the reports that we got. No reason not to believe them. Then right before the qualifier fractures his foot. That's almost a year off. And that can be a career-ending injury, but definitely a season-ending injury. They opted to roll the dice and put a screw in the coffin bone. It's been done, which I didn't know. I thought it was the most incredible thing I've ever heard in my life. They put a screw in his foot, rehabbed him, and every day was a new day for him. Swimming and rehabbing, swimming. Got him back. Then Julie and Andy had a wonderful hybrid training schedule for him, where he'd swim a few days, jog, train a few days. It was just an incredible job, top to bottom, from the horse, definitely, from the surgeon, from the decision that was ultimately made in conjunction with Tom and I, and then to the role that Andy and Julia played, just top to bottom. Very lucky, and just an incredible story for this horse. So he's qualifying again tomorrow. I can't wait to see this horse race. So those are your small barns. We have a few more barns we want to talk about. Tim, he's only got 2. He's in the small barns too. Yeah. So Tim right now has 2 horses. He's got 2 also. So we have Tim and Mark Beckwith still, Melissa Beckwith. Tim has Will to Win Hanover. He pulled a Will to Win Hanover race the other day. Probably should have won, but raced okay. She'll continue to do that. Sintra was incredible. Just unbelievable. What kind of a nice horse is this? My God almighty, he's a nice horse. And that's not me just patting myself on the back and saying, oh, great job. We were lucky. We bought a horse that could be okay, that might be okay, and he turned into be absolutely tremendous. There was a lot of steam left in that engine, and man, 49-2 on a cold night with the earplugs in the other day. Jeepers, what kind of horse Sintra is. I know why Dave Maneri speaks so fondly of him. How could he? Not only did he make them a ton of money, but just the horse himself, the individual himself. You got a kid like Hunter Myers. He texts me right after the race just to say, wow, thank you for the drive. Just an incredibly good horse, and very, very lucky to have him. So that's Tim, and Mark Beckwith and Melissa Beckwith aren't far behind with Patrick the Piranha. He is a killer also. He's in to go to Plain Ridge, I guess, tomorrow or the next day. And good as him, raced good today, 3rd. I believe that's the open trot at Saratoga, and he raced good. He's going to be a nice horse for us also. Keep in mind, this is a young horse also. That didn't need to be that loud. Something absurd. So we got Tim, Melissa, and Mark. Where's Stacy? Oh, right. Oh, you have them over there. They are really all over the place. Stacy and Brett Miller have Kings County. So here we have the best open pacer at the Meadows right now. We have one of the best open pacers in Plain Ridge, Saratoga area with Mark and Melissa Beckwith and Patrick the Piranha A. And we have one of the best trotters in Southern Ohio right now, depending on the day. in Kings County. I think we've had a pretty good year at the sale, so to speak. Very fortunate, very lucky. As I said, Kings County with Stacy and Brett Miller has been incredible. Walk on the Moon, not incredible, but did win twice in Delaware. And the break the other day, I saw the Dayton track. We'll give him a pass. We'll see how he races his next start. So those are all the small barns. There's a lot of them. We'll be back. We still got Jason Dominic. Yeah, well, she's not really a small barn right now. Megan's got 6. She's going to have her own talk right here in a minute. And Mario back in just a second.